On today's show, Fremantle. Is this now an official curse? The finish line can't come soon enough for the West Coast Eagles, and we're 2 from 2 in the AFLW. Welcome to the WestSport Show. We are brought to you by TabTouch. Got the touch? Download the TabTouch app today. Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Joined as always on a Tuesday by Craig O'Donoghue. How are you, Cod?
Good quarters. It's a massive week, isn't it?
It's a massive week.
Massive.
I think we're still sort of dealing with the ramifications of that Fremantle loss to the Brisbane Lions. As good as the Lions' performance was, and it was elite keepings off early that set that win up, it was a really poor performance by Fremantle on a good stage, which is a shame because there have been some great wins this year. 15 wins in any other year would get you into finals.
It certainly
Carlton
would.
got in with 13 last year. It'd get you into top 4 some years.
Brisbane finished 5th last year with 14.5.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was just a... And the thing that gets me, is this now a self-fulfilling prophecy? Because you hear it. You walk into the game and you hear the fans nervously saying, oh, no, I've got a feeling this is going to be so dockery. It's the phrase they use. Is it becoming a problem culturally?
Culture isn't just how you behave. Culture is inbred within your fans. And until you can break a cycle, your fans feel that way. And therefore, when the players go anywhere, they go to get a coffee, there's going to be someone they bump into on the street who's going to go, oh, please don't lose this. We're desperate for you to win a final. We're desperate for you to get back in. We're desperate for this to happen. Don't let it be like the past. It builds and builds and builds and builds. And this is in any sport. I barrack for Essendon. We haven't won a final for 20 years. We lose finals because of those finals we haven't won for 20 years. You can go through Richmond, finishing 9th all the time. Remember when they used to do that?
Yeah, but then they got it right.
But until you get it right, your past will hang over you. And that's just a reality for Fremantle. And they played that way on the weekend, didn't they? They played like they knew that their season was on the line. The pressure was all on them rather than having the freedom of Brisbane, who got a flag behind them.
There's been a bit of pressure on them, though, still, for their premiership defence.
There is, but it's different when you've already proven you can get to a grand final and win a grand final. And that's the difference in mindset. They had more freedom to play with Brisbane. All of the pressure was sitting on top of Fremantle. And that's something they have to live with until they win something, and it's really hard on the players. It's across all sorts of sports where we've seen this sort of stuff happen, and right now this is Fremantle's lot.
So 0 from 5 in final games with finals on the line. 1997 Melbourne, played Melbourne, lost by 40 points. 2004 played St Kilda, lost by 29 points. 2005 Port Adelaide, lost by 45. 2021 lost to St Kilda by 58, and 2024, of course, last year lost to Port Adelaide by 20 points. Thank you to Chris Robinson, our good friend, for those stats, by the way. The pressure is on now. Of course, go and beat the Western Bulldogs, and we're not having this conversation.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Like, they are a good enough team to win this game. Make no mistake about it. They have won enough games throughout the year. 15 wins shows that they are a good team. And the Bulldogs haven't been as good against top 9 teams as what Fremantle have been. But the Bulldogs beat the hell out of teams at Marvel Stadium week in, week out. And that's where it's
about a
10-goal
10-goal average winning margin at Marvel Stadium.
Yeah, which is quite crazy. And Fremantle haven't been good at Marvel Stadium over the past couple of years. Haven't had many games there, but they haven't been able to handle under the roof, ball moving freely sort of matches. So, yeah, how they handle the week is really interesting. Like, if I'm Justin Longmuir, I'm putting the elephant in the room up on the whiteboard and just making it huge and just saying, right, the elephant in the room is that this club hasn't been able to have the success that we want. We, as players and as a club right now, want to be the history makers and the first to win a flag. The only way to do that is to acknowledge the past, embrace the past, and take it into our future, and know that it's hanging over our heads, and know that this pressure is there, and run at the pressure rather than letting it suffocate you, because at the moment it is suffocating, and it would suffocate most people, I reckon, in this sort of situation.
I reckon he should put up on the wall, next to the whiteboard, he should put up all of these curses. So the curse of the Bambino, associated with the Boston Red Sox, said to be cursed after selling Babe Ruth to the New York Yankees in 1920. Absolutely, they were cursed. Red Sox went 86 years without winning a World Series. The Curse of the Billy Goat. Have you heard that one?
Yes.
That's the Chicago Cubs, cursed by William Cianis, who was the owner of the Billy Goat Tavern in 1945 after his goat was ejected from a World Series game. I'm not sure why you're taking a goat to a World Series game, but the Cubs didn't win a World Series for 71 years. There's the Madden Curse, and that is the popular Madden NFL video game. Players do not like being on the cover of that because they have poor form or suffer injuries the next year. Curse of the Colonel. I love this one. This is the Hanshin Tigers, a Japanese baseball team who were thought to be cursed after fans got so excited, Cod, after a win. They just ripped off a Colonel Sanders from the local KFC and threw it in the river. And it got so bad that they went and dredged it back up and they won a premiership not long after. And then there was the Cleveland Sports Curse, the whole city of Cleveland, 52-year championship drought across its three teams, the Browns, the Cavaliers, and the Indians until the Cavaliers won the 2016 NBA championship. You could look at England with its World Cup. You talk about pressure.
That's a classic example.
66, the last and only time they've won one.
And I think one of the ones that I think we can all relate to probably the most, and from especially from our era, would be the South African cricket team.
Yes.
We're all into the 1992 World Cup when it was in Australia, and they required they got through to needing 22 runs off 13 balls in a semi-final, and then the rain came, and Duckworth Lewis turned 22 runs into 13 balls into needing 21 runs off one ball, and so began a history of them going into the World Cup semi-finals in 92, 99, 07, 15. And 23, quarterfinals in 96 and 11. In the T20 World Cup, they had the final in 24, semi-finals in 19 and 14, and the Champions Trophy was 2000, 2002, 2006, 2013, and 2025. Like, they kept on having crazy ways of...
Herschel Gibbs dropping the World Cup.
Alan Donald doesn't run.
Yeah.
And there was a T20 World Cup final in 2024. They needed 26 runs off 24 balls with 6 wickets in hand, and they lost. So the past hangs over all these guys, and they might not have even been born when the first thing happens, but they've heard the stories, and that's where it sort of sits and puts the real pressure on. And you look at your club, Hawthorn, right? Hawthorn have said for a long time, we just win flags, so we'll rebuild and we'll be fine. West Coast have used this line
although
we
did have the Kennett curse, remember?
You did, but from a historical point of view of winning and losing, when you turn around and say, it's okay because we know how to win premierships and we'll be fine, it's different. St Kilda is another example. When St Kilda played Collingwood in 2010 and the grand final was drawn, Collingwood people sort of went, the Collywobbles are gone. We've won flags more recently than St Kilda. We'll be fine in this game. St Kilda were looking back going, how do we win a premiership when we've won one since in our history of our club? So those sorts of things are real pressure. The Collywobbles definitely existed in the 70s and 80s because they kept on losing grand finals and the pressure built on that team. And that's what Fremantle are living with right now.
As a proud major sponsor of the Fremantle Football Club, Woodside has accepted the challenge of supporting local footy at all levels, from grassroots to greatness, so it can thrive throughout WA. Woodside, Australia's leading energy company. The Dockers, this week, do they have to roll the dice and play Hayden Young? And does Nat Fyfe get a full game?
Nat Fyfe doesn't get a full game, I don't think.
Why?
I think he's better when...
Because Young comes in, so they've got that big body.
I just don't think Nat Fyfe is suited to the pace of the game in the first half at Marvel Stadium. So I think he's proven that his best football is played, come on, halfway through the third quarter, late in the third quarter, early last quarter, when everyone else is fatigued. Use your big body and your nous to win the footy and get out.
But does he have to pull the trigger earlier? The coach, Justin Longmuir.
It was too late the other day.
It was too late on Friday night.
Yeah, halfway through the third is the clear answer, I think, and it took too long to get him out there. I worry about playing Pearce, Young, Fyfe, Wagner, potentially Johnson as well. I don't think you can have all of those guys in the team when a lot of them have had interrupted seasons. So I think Wagner might be the one to miss out, and Johnson might also miss out.
Wagner's be stiff. Yeah,
he just didn't have that burst of speed.
No, he did it last week because he's so versatile. Yeah,
when you got a heel injury, it's so hard to run. Yeah. So I think that might cost him a bit. Nathan O'Driscoll's a really interesting one. Can't get near the footy at the moment, but is still covering his 14 to 15 Ks with that wing roll, which is so important to be able to get up and back, but he's not doing enough there. So he might go out and suddenly you've got you can play O'Meara on a wing if Young goes into that midfield. So there's a lot of things that they can do Does Cooper Simpson come into the team? He's played 4 games.
Jeez, I'll tell you what, elite ball use off half-back, I'm thinking seriously about that.
Because they've made some mistakes. Bailey Banfield was a bit jittery the other day as well. So there's lots of things. But the coach will say, we've won 11 of 13. Why would I change so much? So is it baby out with the bathwater and go, it's time to make some changes now because the team has been down at three-quarter time a lot? Or is it, we've won 11 of 13, stick with what we know?
I've shifted my position a bit. I did say pre-season, and I was strong on it, that if they don't play finals, Justin Longmuir should not coach the team going forward. But I have shifted because I think it would be grossly unfair to move the coach on after a 15-win season, which could still be net another win this week. Get you in finals most years. And there've been some good wins. Collingwood at the G, Gold Coast on the road, GWS on the road. Really good win over Hawthorn here in a real pressurised game. So there've been some good wins. It was a diabolically bad loss last Friday. I'm not going to paper over that. But I just think it would be one of the harshest calls in a long time, albeit it's his 6th season. But I think on the evidence of what we've seen this year, he deserves to go again next year.
Yeah, I just think it'd be too big a risk to say somebody who can win 15 games in a year and won more games than he lost last year as well in missing the finals, we're going to turf him out and go for an untried coach elsewhere. Now, if you thought you were going to go and get John Longmire, then that's a different sort of scenario, and you can go, well, maybe that's the difference. But if you're just going for a Hayden Skipworth or one of the Stephen King, one of the guys who went for the West Coast job last year, then I think you're taking a monumental risk. The only reason that could swing, I think, against Justin Longmuir is if they got belted this week rather than just lost. But they should be going into this week believing they can win that game because they've won in New South Wales, they've won in Queensland, they've won in South Australia, and they've won at the MCG. So why can't they win at Marvel? Should be the way they're thinking. And they should be thinking, well, until last weekend, everyone thought they were a chance to win this game against the Bulldogs and beat Brisbane as well. So the only thing that's changed is we've seen them struggle on the big stage, and now we're questioning that. If they can start well, there's no reason why that stage fright element of it shouldn't disappear, and suddenly they're back in it.
So you're from Fremantle training this morning. Anything notable happen?
There was lightning and they couldn't train outside.
So you didn't get to see them train?
So they trained on the basketball court. It's ironic, actually, because it would have
you can watch that. Yeah.
It would have been a waste of a training session when you consider they're going to play at Marvel in dry conditions under a roof.
Yeah.
And they would have been training today with rain absolutely smashing down. So that you're not allowed to train, or you're not allowed to do anything in terms of being outside when the lightning's going that crazy. So they were indoors and were able to do their skills that way on a basketball court in the dry, which I think actually suits the way they're going to play.
It's good for you and the journos because, of course, we've got temporary viewing facilities at the moment, which is like a little container, but we're not allowed in it now because of the danger aspect. So you actually have to stand outside now.
Yeah, the sea container that they set up for the journos to watch games from, the council said, hang on, that might blow away. No one's allowed in that. So we would have been standing on the hill, and it would have been rather wet today. So I was glad when they said, no, they're staying inside.
Well, I was at West Coast. Nothing major to report there. No Harry Edwards again. So you would think Sydney's probably forward line doesn't pose as big a threat as the last 2 weeks have. So with that foot injury, he may miss, he might be out for the year. But they actually trained with these T-shirts. Thank you to our loyal Eagles family. And I'll get into some stats when we get to the mail. But, I mean, as they should, because I think they're 5th highest average crowd still this year. They're going to get 100,000 members again. That's patience. I know they've had a lot of success, Eagles fans, and this is the first real extended period of poor form. But I'm glad they thanked them because it's been a long, long year.
Yeah, and this is the reality for all West Coast fans compared to other clubs is you have to keep paying your membership during lean times, or else you will miss out when the
waiting
success
in the
returns.
wings.
You don't want to end up falling off the back of the truck and having to get into the queue again. So whereas we saw what happened with Richmond, their numbers were crazy with the number of people who were going to the footy every single week when they were successful. Suddenly they start losing and no one's there anymore. As a West Coast supporter, you have no choice than to be loyal to your club or risk not going to the footy for a decade, really. And that's the strength of the club, the way it's all set up. It puts pressure on your fans to have to continually turn up, and it puts them in a good, strong position when they have lean times like this.
Not much to like about their 94-point loss to the Dogs.
They were horrible.
Little green shoots everywhere.
They were horrible.
Job Shanahan continues to put himself into positions. He's going to be a player. Missed some easy shots at the weekend, but at least got himself into a position to take the contested mark. So well done to him. I thought the defence was pretty good, to be honest, mate. Given the way the midfield was on top for the Western Bulldogs. I mean, you got Darcy kicked 3, Norton kicked 3. He was off for a bit with a cut head, but I thought the defence did a pretty good job, really, in the end. We know where the Eagles are at. It's just it's a long season. And one good sign today at training actually was Elliot Yeo running, kicking off both feet. Looked unencumbered, Cod. So let's just keep our fingers crossed that he can have a full pre-season. Number one, because we know how important that is, particularly for an older player.
Yep.
And that he can start round one and get some footy into him, because I think Elliot Yeo in that midfield is really going to help the young midfield that it is right now.
What's interesting, we talk about the cultural issues that Fremantle have of having to live with the past. West Coast are getting to the stage now with this group of players, not necessarily the fans, but the players who haven't understood what success looks like.
They don't know how to win.
Don't know how to win and expect to get belted. That's the problem. When an opposition kicks 3 or 4 goals in a row, and instead of going, no, we'll be okay, we'll do this and we'll do that, and we'll go to plan A, B, and C, and we'll do what we did 6 weeks ago and fix this up, they go, oh, not again, oh, not again, and suddenly you just expect
and I reckon you can
more.
smell that when you're the opposition.
Yeah.
You can fear. It's almost fear.
Yeah, it is. And I don't know how they get out of that, because this group, until they start winning games, then they're never going to be able to overcome that fear. And that's just a reality that they're going to have to somehow overcome. And it's probably Andrew McQualter's biggest challenge, that with the turnover of this roster now, of this list, there's not many premiership players left. There's not many guys who have experienced success left. And even Liam Baker and Jack Graham coming over from Richmond, they got belted last year at Richmond as well. So the success element of it, it's so hard to teach a group to win.
They need some more experience in there somewhere that they can get bargain basement.
Yeah, they do. But those players have to be winners as well. It can't just be guys who are coming from losing teams.
No.
They have to be guys who can help a team to believe that they can win.
Yeah, this is what winning looks like. Because as you said, they don't know at the moment. So, I mean, Harley Reid, for example, he's played for pretty much losing sides throughout his whole life. All his junior clubs, they weren't winning teams. So
Ruben Jimby's the classic example. I think he's won 1 game interstate, ever.
Oh, yeah.
So you get on a plane, and every single time he gets on the plane, he'd be thinking, this routine is you go over and you lose and you come back. That's a tough way to play sport.
Let's talk a little AFLW, Cod. This AFLW update is brought to you by Woodside Energy, a proud major partner of the Fremantle Dockers, supporting local footy from grassroots to greatness. 2 wins from 2 for the local team. So well done to Fremantle and well done to West Coast. I'll just start with West Coast. Good win against Gold Coast. A couple of notable performances. One from Ella Roberts, goal-kicking midfielder. She is a jet. And Lou Painter, 3 goals in the third quarter and was nominated yesterday for the Rising Star Award. So congratulations to her. I spoke to Daisy Pearce today. She was talking about, how excited she was to see how that connection with Ella Roberts goes. She thinks that Lou Painter can be a player who can play forward, she can play midfield, probably even play defensive if required. So good on her, great effort. Bad news coming out of there was Beth Schilling, who's a really important defender to them, left the field the second quarter against the Suns, has a Lisfranc injury, so she will not play anymore in 2025, which is a real shame. It's created a real hole in defence for them. Roxy Rue went back at the weekend and performed really well to plug that hole, so they'll stick with her for now. They've got a couple of, I think Charlotte Riggs is another option, so they'll look at that. But yeah, it's sort of good news and bad news, I guess, for West Coast, but they're 1 from 1 in 2025.
I'll tell you what's good news. Ella Roberts just playing
football.
She's
a great player.
I don't say this lightly. She could be Caitlin Clark from a basketball perspective for this sport. Like, the AFLW needs stars. Daisy was a star. Erin Phillips was a star. They've struggled to find that next group of genuine, this is going to be the face of the league. Ella Roberts is as good an athlete as we have in this country, in any sport. Like, she is a genuine bona fide gun. And if you haven't watched much AFLW and you've been frustrated by the standard of footy, it's worth watching her play just to watch her. She is enough to make you go, I'll continue watching this match. And her first quarter was elite for any type of sport. So give it a go and have a watch and have a look at her
11 possessions.
Just went goals,
couple of
miss
goals.
another one, set people up. She just looks like an athlete that it could play in any sport on the world stage because of the way she moves and her skill with the footy and her hands. Yeah, she is a genuine star.
And Fremantle, also 1 from 1.
Yeah, did really well over there. And they're in a little bit of a different scenario. They're bringing back experienced players. So Ange Stannett comes back as the captain from a knee reconstruction and kicks a couple of goals and had 3 smothers in 10 seconds and got labelled Smother Teresa.
I loved
Great line by Lisa Webb. Great
loved
line.
It.
Kiara Bowers comes back, plays 14 tackles, just dominates as she does as a former MVP winner. Hayley Miller, really impressive in the forward line. And Emma O'Driscoll's just a star across half back. The one thing that I did really like about AFLW this weekend was the change to the holding the ball interpretation.
So less stoppage and more free kicks and more freer flowing.
So to put some context to it, and this will change people's view of the game as well, because it was a stifled game for so many years. There were 10 goals kicked for the game and there were 46 hitouts. Last year during the finals against Adelaide, there were 8 goals kicked for the game and there were 64 hitouts. So 2 fewer goals and 18 more hitouts. And in the final against Essendon, it was 81 hitouts from 9 goals. So when you take 9 goals, 81 hitouts compared to 10 goals, 46 hitouts, the ball's moving. The ball's moving and it's in contest again. And that's what the game needs, because it's actually quite entertaining to watch when the ball's in movement.
We do need the key forwards who can take the contested marks and kick the goals. We saw Essendon kick 13 or 14 goals at the weekend.
Changes the game, that free kick. It makes it far more open.
This is going to, and they'll tweak it again, but let's hope this is a sign of the future.
You need to give credit to the people running AFLW that they have had the courage to make these sorts of moves. They've changed rules mid-season if necessary. AFL have never been prepared to do that, like with the ruck rule at the moment, the ruck nomination. We all hate that and we want the game to move quicker, and they can't find a way to say, let's just do it now. AFLW have been prepared to pull the trigger and say, this is wrong, this is ruining the game, let's change it.
Couple before we get to some mail. Tex Walker, do you think he's the luckiest player this season not to go for that push?
There's been a lot of lucky players.
Well, I do.
Here.
I think he should be suspended for a week for that action. They've been suspending players for it. It was no different.
That's the problem with the
Got a goal
MRO.
out of it too.
The problem with the MRO in general is that we don't feel it's been consistent throughout the year, so that needs to be fixed up next season.
What about the throws? The crow throws, my goodness, they were pronounced. It wasn't like you cut the umpires some slack because it's sometimes hard to see, but geez, they were just keys to, it was unbelievable.
It's virtually impossible to notice. From 20 metres away, looking through traffic, looking through bodies, you need total luck from an umpiring perspective to have the view to be able to get it right, because there's so many cameras that they can hone in on it. Most of the throws I don't notice off the TV when it's live, and then you see the replay and you go, oh, that's a clear throw. How the hell did they miss that? Well, they've got their backs to the umpire, or there's 15 bodies in the way. Yeah, they know that they're more likely to get away with it than not, so they'll roll the dice.
I had no interest in North Melbourne Richmond until I start. Well, I do my team of the week, so I watch every game as much as I can. But this game I wasn't going to spend a lot of time on until I realised one of my kids ran in and said, Dad, Sheasel's got 48. So 54 possessions to Harry Sheasel. And you could see at the end of the game, they were just looking for him, trying to get him.
Fantasy football coaches around the country were either saying, why the hell are you doing that if you're opposing him, or if you had him in your team as a skipper, people were losing their minds going, I'm gonna get through to a grand final. It's a fun time of year from a fantasy perspective when these dud games don't mean anything and someone's racking up the touches. There's a very good reason to keep watching
Luke
footy.
Davies Uniacke had a lazy 42, but so they got the job done then and climbed over Richmond. The other big news of the week was Nasiah Wanganeen-Millerer. I'm really pleased that he's signed, albeit only for another 2 years. Would that take him up to free agency?
No, I won't take him to free agency because he's only 22. Okay. But that's the perfect contract. That's the one I reckon Harley should look at. And I wouldn't be surprised if Nasiah has an option for who he goes to in 2 years' time, whether it's Adelaide or Port Adelaide. And that gives them 2 years to put together a draft package that they can use to make the trade, because neither of them could have made the trade.
I'm really
this
pleased
year.
for St Kilda. I'm not sure it's been great list management the way they've gone about it, but I just think that would have destroyed the club.
It would have.
And right now, for him to stay, it'd be interesting to see how everything else plays out, particularly if Tom De Koning arrives for 1.7 or 1.8 or whatever. But that's interesting because it's going to shape other moves. So the Western Bulldogs reportedly right into Zach Butters. He's going to be harder to shift now because, of course, Wanganeen-Millerer was going to either Port or to the Adelaide Crows, depending on who you believe. So I think it's got the ability to shake the postseason
Yeah,
quite significantly, that signing.
It does, and it keeps players at St Kilda. But I think Harley Reid can look at this and go, okay, that's not a bad option, that 2 years on big dough,
Good
right?
option.
And then if you perform, your value is going to skyrocket even further. And you also can go to the clubs and say, here's 2 years to go and figure out how to get me out. You've got 2 years to get your draft your package of draft picks available, rather than now where it feels like it's going to be a bit rushed for people. That's a short-term contract that gives your club a bit of loyalty, gives you heaps of money in your pocket. You know you're going to get chased into the future, and you can go to the team you want to go to because they've been prepared for it.
And it feels to me like you've paid your dues to the club that spent the number one pick on you. Of course, there'll be some value back if he does eventually go, but just feels right if he was able to do that. So who knows? It may well have set the pathway for Harley Reid. Let's hope so. Cod, Thirsty Camel mailbag time. This week's special vodka zero, 1 litre. Camel Club member price is $54.99 a bottle. Join up in store or online today. As usual, we're giving away a $50 digital voucher thanks to Thirsty Camel. Get your questions in to TheWestSport at wanews.com.au. Leave your mobile number at the bottom of your email as we'll send you the voucher if you're a weekly winner. God, this one, guys, if validated, the alleged homophobic remarks from Isaac Rankin are extremely disheartening for so many of us who follow the AFL. It shows that the men's competition is still not a safe place for players, officials and support staff within the system who are gay and may fear the reception coming out in the current environment. In sharp contrast, the women's competition has many openly gay players and is a beacon for recognising and supporting diversity in the community. Kudos to the maligned Braden Maynard, whose public comments post-game calling out homophobia and backing efforts to stamp it out gave me heart and hope that things will change. Players who report homophobia and backed us up in public will change the culture within the organisation, and Isaac Rankin deserves to pay the heavy price if applicable. So we will find out what the punishment is. There was no self-reporting. So for mine, Jack Graham self-reported 4 weeks. Has to get 5 weeks.
Yeah, it does. And it's 3:05 as we're recording this right now. I've just checked my phone then, and there's no notification that has come through yet of a decision, so we don't have anything for you right now. But yeah, it has to be 5 because the worst case scenario is for them to allow Isaac Rankin to play again this year, and then he wins the Norm Smith medal on Grand Final day. And that's a disaster. The message has been very, very clear for more than 12 months now that the word, and any homophobic words actually, but the specific word that is being thrown around on footy fields is totally and utterly unacceptable. I haven't heard that word in so long. Like, it used to be bandied around when we were kids. No, it's my God, I can't believe that it's still being mentioned now.
Yeah.
It'd be like some of the racist words that used to be thrown around on the footy field. Like, they disappeared. This has to be out of the vernacular altogether.
But surely you would have seen what happened to Jack Graham. Why would you bother with that?
Why are people saying that word anyway?
Yeah, I agree.
Like, when did that sort of come? I can't believe it's come back. Like, it's just bizarre. Like, it's so offensive to go down that path. And the letter writer's absolutely spot on. Like, it puts pressure on the gay community. There are plenty of gay female footballers out there. You would hope there are gay men out there playing footy who feel comfortable within the club and their teammates understand where their lives are at, but they don't want to tell the public because they don't want to be the first. But you just hope that we're not driving people away from the game.
Yeah, which is why I've always said it should be en masse, 10 or 12.
Yeah, I agree. I think that'd be the perfect thing. The AFLPA should, if they knew that there were 5 players, they should all sit down together. And then no one's the first.
He'll cop what he deserves, but let's just park that for a second. Think about the ramifications football-wise, because I actually think he's one of 2 or 3 players, Jordan Dawson, Riley Thilthorpe are the other 2, who they can't afford. I think Rankin being out will cost them the premiership. I think it's that big a deal.
I can't see them winning at the MCG without him. I can see them winning at Adelaide Oval and getting through to a grand final, but I can't see them winning the flag.
So he's got that X factor about him as well. Goes through the midfield, goes forward, kicks those, can change the course of a game in a quarter. Thilthorpe can do that. Dawson can do that. But you lose him and it's so costly. So, I mean, he'll be well aware of the ramifications of that statement. And in a way, that's why the AFL have to ensure he doesn't play again this year. So, to prove their fair income about it. Hello, Scribes. I am not an old fossil who is opposed to any rule. Did I say who that was from? That was from John from Hammond Park, by the way. This one is from Steve from Sereno. Hello, Scribes. I'm not an old fossil who is opposed to any rule changes to our great Indigenous game. In fact, I think that the 666 and the play on from a kick in have been very effective rule changes. However, 2 of the new rules are doing my head in. 1, the stand rule is ridiculous at the best of times, but when there is a big loud crowd, players can't hear the umpire telling them to stand, outside 5 or play on. This often results in confusion or unfair advantage to one team. One AFL umpire in particular is very softly spoken and hard to hear. Who would that be?
Don't know.
Yeah. For 100 years, the primary means of communication from umpires to players has been the whistle, which was designed to be easily heard. The stand rule makes it extremely difficult for umpires, especially in big games. 2, don't start me on the nominated rucks rule. That is straight out of Auskick. Umpires are waiting several seconds at every stoppage before throwing the ball up, which is slowing the game and increasing congestion. Exactly the opposite outcome from the positive rule changes I've supported above. Surely the simple answer is to throw the ball straight up and award a free kick if 2 players from one team contest the ball up. For that matter, I've never been sure what the problem was with an extra man up anyway. No, you don't want the extra man up. I think if you just throw the ball up,
The problem...
if the ruckmen aren't there, bad luck, throw it up.
The issue with not knowing who the ruckman is if you're the ruckman and I'm the... So you and I are going to do the ruck work because our ruckmen aren't actually there and the opposition doesn't know you're the ruckman and they shepherd you out, then is it a free kick to you or is it...
So that's why you think the umpire has to nominate?
That's why the umpire needs to know and the players in the vicinity need to know who the ruckman is, but they shouldn't be waiting for the ruckman to turn up. It needs
just
to be...
name 2 players who are within the vicinity.
Or there needs to be 2 or 3 players who each team know are they nominated ruckman for the day and they will go up. In terms of the stand rule, I think the stand rule is good for the game, but you need to actually stand on the damn mark. Like, it shouldn't be that you're allowed to back off. There should always have to be someone standing the mark because that's what it's been for more than 100 years. So then there's no debate, is he standing, is he moving? No, when the mark is taken, someone has to stand on the mark and then it wouldn't be the umpire saying, you must stand now. Oh, no, he's backed off. No. You have to stand and that will change everything and it will make the game back to what it was designed to be. The stand rule allowed for the ball to be moved easier and look better then. Since the coaches have figured out you can just back off, the ball movement's been stifled. Yeah,
I'm not a big fan. This one from Andrew. Hey, has there ever been a worse team than the Eagles? A pretty basic question. If they lose to Sydney on Saturday, they'll become the first team since GWS in 2013 to put on only 1 win. Fitzroy in 96, Sydney 93 are the only 1-win teams in the AFL era. No team has no team has gone through a season winless in the AFL era. Fitzroy's 64, Hawthorn in 1950, the most recent examples in the VFL. But since the competition went to 23, this is 23 games. This will be the most losses in a year if they lose this week, which will be 22. So it's been a shocker. 11 wins since the start of the 2022 season. It's been hard to watch.
Every year we say, is this team the worst ever? Or the worst since Fitzroy is often bandying around. They're a horrible team at the moment, and most wooden spoon teams are horrible teams, especially if you stay down there for a long, long time. It's hard to compare them to other groups because, obviously, flying interstate and there's different venues and stuff. St Kilda were horrid in the 80s when they were just making the ground muddy to make sure that they didn't lose by even more. So it's hard to compare them all. All we know is this is a bona fide, shocking wooden spoon team.
It's a shock. It's hard to watch, isn't it? And I'll tell you what, we're all limping to the finish line this weekend when Dean Cox coaches against his old team for the first time.
And he could have been coaching West Coast if he wanted to as well. So he's made the right choice, I think.
Well, they have come. I think it's now a competition of the top 10 now. Sydney's officially joined that upper echelon group because they've been pretty competitive, haven't they?
Yeah. And they're going to be one of the reasons. If Fremantle miss, they've beaten Fremantle twice and Fremantle got them at the wrong time of year with players coming back midway through the year and players not hurt for at the start of the year. So who you play and when you play them has a dramatic impact on your season.
You have been listening to the West Sports Show. We have been brought to you by Tab Touch. Got the touch? Download the Tab Touch app today. Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Remember, you can watch or listen to this podcast on YouTube Music. Leave us a rating and a review. And don't forget to follow this podcast so you don't miss an episode. Thanks, Cod. Let's hope we're back here next Tuesday talking about Fremantle playing finals.
It will be a big weekend. You don't want to miss it.
No.